What's up guys, welcome back to Man Cave Collectibles. Coming at you today with a new video, kind of a different video. It's that time of year, it's time for top 10s. So we're coming at you with a top 10 video for our top 10 action figures of 2020. There was a lot of things that didn't go well in 2020 for all of us. But one of the things that I feel like did go well was the toy industry. I think they put out some of the best toys that I can ever remember coming out in a single calendar year. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do on my YouTube channel was pick out the 10 that I like the most. Didn't think it would be that hard until I sat down in my man cave and I started looking around and really trying to figure out what were the best figures or what were my favorite figures that come out in 2020. So we've got them narrowed down. I'm going to share them with you guys. What I have here in front of us are kind of what I would want to call maybe like the honorable mentions. These were figures that I sat and I stared at and I stared at and I debated, can they get in my top 10? Should they be in my top 10? Maybe, maybe not. So here's what we got. I've got 5 figures that did not quite make my top 10. We've got Rogue. This is the retro carded Rogue from Marvel Legends. This is a fantastic figure. It really has that Jim Lee look to it while kind of bringing in the cartoon aspect with the face sculpt. I've done a review based on everything we're going to do today, so I'm not going to remind you that every time I talk about a figure, but every figure we talk about today, with the exception of maybe one, there is a review on. So you can check out the review on any of them, but Rogue almost made the top 10. She's in the honorable mentions. The only thing that really I had an issue with in our review video was right here on her bandana. It just has a very strange look. It's almost like it's sculpted into her head, like there's a hole in the side of her head. It just kind of just didn't look that well, and it turned me off just a hair. But overall, the figure looks fantastic. When it's up on a shelf, you can't see that at all. The next figure is Super7 Baxter Stockman. Now, the Super7 TMNT line, I could put all 4 of those figures in my top 10 and not feel bad about it. But this Baxter is fantastic. If you're not familiar with the Super7 TMNT line, they're taking the old 1980s, early 90s TMNT line by Playmates and turning them into an adult collectible in a 7-inch line. So this is our Baxter figure. I love this figure. It's definitely one of my favorite figures in my entire collection. He's an honorable mention this year. Very close to going in the top 10. In fact, he was in the top 10. I moved him out of the top 10. He was in the top 10, moved him out. I kind of went back and forth with him. But I love this guy. Foot Soldier the same. This is Super7's Foot Soldier. Just a phenomenal foot soldier. I ended up getting 2 of these, and now they're hard as heck to come across. But this will be something you could army build. Came with a lot of accessories, so you could kind of, make them mix and match as far as their accessories, make one look a little bit different, holding a gun or a whip. The different things that he come with, a knife like mine has here in his hand. Next up, we got Lion-O from Super7. So this guy, I love this figure. I love all these figures. You're going to hear that a lot, but I love the Lion-O figure. He had a little bit of QC issue, which you will see if you ever go back and watch my review video on him. But I can't really hold that against the line because Big Bad Toy Store made it right. I called them up, I contacted them. They sent me a new one. They even said keep the old one, sent me a new one. And this one had no QC issues whatsoever. It was perfect out of the box. So that kind of erased my memory as far as the issues that I had with that original Lion-O figure that I got from Super7. So appreciate that from Big Bad Toy Store, always looking out for the customer. This is a fantastic figure. You come with a lot of accessories. So this was a kind of a re-release, I guess you could say, of what had already been released by Mattel. They just added in additional accessories, paint a little bit different, a little better maybe even, but another fantastic figure in 2020. And the last honorable mention here is our Triceraton Infantryman. This is a little bit of a nostalgia pick for me. The original Triceraton Infantryman that Playmates did back in the late 80s was one of my favorite all-time figures as a kid. I played with him so much, and I've got some good memories with him. My grandfather, or I can specifically remember us going to a Walmart and him purchasing him for me. So it's just had a lot of memories. And when Neca come out with just this fantastic kind of remake of the Triceraton from the cartoon, it was really the closest thing that I had to that figure. Now my hopes is that Super7 will eventually do a remake of that 80s action figure. But for now, this is the closest thing I have, and I really, really, really like it. They did a good job on the paint, is perfect. Came with a lot of accessories, multiple guns, and really set to army build. I ended up being able to pick up 3 of these guys out on my toy hunts. If you're not familiar with my channel, I do a lot of toy hunts. You can check those videos out. We find a lot of cool stuff out and about on those hunts, but I was able to find 3 of these guys and I did army build them, and they look fantastic with Xerax and Zork kind of army built behind of them. So those are my 5 honorable mentions. Drop in the comments what you guys think of these 5 figures. And at the end of this, you can let me know, do you think they should have been in the top 10? Would they be in your top 10? Again, this is just my opinion, guys. So I want you guys to take it with a grain of salt, but definitely in the comments, give me your top 10 figures of 2020. Let's move on to my actual top 10 figures. All right, guys, so we're starting at number 10. So we're going to go from 10 to 1. So this is number 10 on my list. This is the Beast Kingdom Buzz Lightyear. So I'm a huge fan of Toy Story. I realize this may not be in everybody's top 10, but I'm a huge fan of Toy Story. I always have been. Some of my favorite, probably my favorite Pixar movies, Disney movies in general, even dating back to when I was a kid, it kind of took the place of a lot of those favorite kid movies when Toy Story come out. So when I saw that Beast Kingdom was going to do an adult collectible Buzz Lightyear, I had to pick it up. They did a Woody as well, and he could probably be in the same spot here with Buzz Lightyear, but this figure is just a phenomenal figure. It came with all types of accessories. You're even able to move the eyeballs on these guys to kind of, look at what you're wanting to look at. You can take this off. Now, one thing I kind of wish is that this would have been, articulated in and of itself. That is one thing that I think they probably had some room for improvement on. If this would have just kind of flipped back versus coming off completely, but you're able to change out the heads and the face plates. It's just a really, really phenomenal adult collectible that as a grown man, I didn't feel bad about purchasing and having in my man cave. I think he ran me about $60 and he come out pretty early in 2020. There's a review video on my channel of this guy if you want to check him out. That's number 10. All right, guys, number 9. We've got the Venompool Build-A-Figure from Marvel Legends. So how can you not like when a company combines 2 of the coolest characters in the Marvel Universe? In fact, these are 2 of my top 5 characters in all the Marvel Universe in general, so it had to fall into my top 10. The size of him is fantastic. He's large. He's got additional hands. He's got his katanas, his swords. He's got a sheath back here in the back that those can be stored in. Another one actually really cool thing about this guy that Marvel Legends did, you only had to buy 5 figures in order to build Venompool. You typically have to buy 6. So I thought that was really neat that we were able to cut a little cost there. Yeah, it's only 20 bucks, but it's 20 bucks saved in order to build a Build-A-Figure. And typically, as you know, most of these Build-A-Figures in the aftermarket, they're going for 60 and up. Some of the higher price ones, 100 plus. So it was really cool to get this guy for the purchase of 5 figures. That 6th figure was the Venom movie figure, which I ended up going ahead and picking up. He did not come with a Build-A-Figure piece, so you didn't have to get him. But just a phenomenal looking figure. Even the texture of the red part of the suit, it is textured just like you would imagine the Deadpool suit being. And he's got these kind of like he's broken free, from some type of chain or prison. Just a cool figure here. That is my number 9 figure for 2020. All right, guys, number 8, Earthrise Optimus Prime. This is the figure that got me back into the Hasbro Transformers universe. So I was kind of a big MP collector. I had a pretty large Masterpiece collection. It's actually the second time I had a pretty large Masterpiece collection. I've now sold off my Masterpiece collection 2 different times. But when I saw this figure in the store, I actually told my wife, I said, I really, really want that figure. And she made the horrible mistake of buying him for me. And when she did, it took me down the rabbit hole of Siege, Earthrise, and now Kingdom. But they did such a fantastic job here of kind of incorporating in a figure that looks kind of like the Netflix character, while also giving us that extremely G1 look. I have the original G1 version of this Optimus Prime, which I just acquired recently. My wife purchased it for me as a gift. And when this guy's transformed into his car mode or vehicle mode, it just looks phenomenal. It literally, you could almost have it as a stand-in on your shelf for a G1 Optimus Prime. So it just looks really, really good. The paintwork is phenomenal on this guy. There's not a whole lot of hollow space, which is something I really appreciate, you know, behind the arms here. You know, a lot of times with Hasbro stuff, you end up with a lot of different hollow spaces. They did a fantastic job, you know, filling in the back of these legs. Just really, really well done. And then obviously we get, you know, his trailer here, which looks really, really good. It's got some, I think they probably could have did a little better down here and made it look a little more like the original version did, kind of in these back two wheel areas. But overall, just a phenomenal figure. That's number 8 on my list. All right, guys, number 7, we've got Marvel Legends Red Hulk. So this is, to me, maybe in my top 3 all-time favorite Marvel Legend figures ever. I love how they did this guy. Now, I think the body and everything was a reuse of a Hulk figure they'd already put out, but the face sculpt was something new. But really, it just nailed this character. He is one of my favorite characters, especially kind of how he was originally before the mustache and all, but kind of the original way he was, which is how they have him put out here. This guy was a beast to find. I can remember when he first came out, all the kind of hecticness around trying to find this guy at Target. But they just did a phenomenal job on him. Come with multiple hand sculpts. He was a deluxe figure, so even though he's so large, he was not a Build-A-Figure. He was not packaged as a 2-pack either. He was in an individual single pack. But we were able to find him at Target. I only seen him one time out and about. In all of the toy hunts I ever did, I saw him one time. But they did such a great job on this guy, all the way down to painting the nails on his feet. Just the sculpt, again, is just phenomenal. It was a reuse of a sculpt, but it still just really took the cake as far as what a Hulk body should look like. And then that face sculpt, man, just come right out of the comic book. Such a fantastic figure. So happy to have this guy. That's my number 7. All right, guys, number 6. You know, we couldn't go very long without having a NECA movie figure in our top 10. We've got the Super Shredder figure. I know there's a lot of you guys still waiting on this figure. I've got a good buddy, actually, who purchased him through the NECA store online. He's yet to get him shipped, but he's purchased. Just hasn't got him shipped yet. So hopefully that's going to happen here very soon. But what a phenomenal figure. He's huge, just as you would assume. You know, Kevin Nash played this guy. We know Kevin Nash, like 7 foot tall, you know, big diesel. He's a really cool guy from the wrestling universe, but he come in and played this guy, and a lot of folks didn't even know that. I didn't know that until it was just a couple years ago. I actually stumbled across the information. But they did a really, really good job. If you pull up that movie and check out what he looked like in the movie, he looked just like this. When it first came out, I actually thought all these kind of yellow and cream colored accents in his kind of torso area and on his thighs, I was like, well, that can't be accurate. And I went back and looked at some stills from the movie, and it was perfectly accurate. So they nailed it, as NECA always does. The hands are even kind of look like some type of acid has landed on them, just giving it kind of that crusty old look that he had in the movie, you know, when the hand kind of come up through the rubble. He come with some accessories. He actually got a pipe that he never had in the movies. NECA kind of gave him something new, but he got some additional accessories, the TGRI, you know, ooze canister. Just really, really phenomenal figure. He looks great on the shelf with the rest of the movie figures. So hopefully we'll get some additional Shredder figures in this line. I think the second movie Shredder we've not gotten yet, so hopefully that's something that will be coming in the future. But yeah, this right here, one of my favorite figures in my entire collection, not just 2020, one of my all-time favorite figures. That is number 6. All right, guys, on to number 5. We've got our Lord Zed figure from the Hasbro Lightning Collection. What a fantastic figure this is. This came out probably in early 2020, and then it got another release in the 2-pack with Rita. I got them both. There was slight change in the hands on this figure. I ended up going with the one from the Rita 2-pack. I felt like it looked a little bit better as far as the paintwork that they had done there. But if you have either one, you have a great figure. So there's no harm in either one of them. I was just lucky enough to find them both. So this is the second version, come with his staff, with a little ball there. It's got some effects here that you can change out. I think the effects on one of them, I can't remember, I might have stolen the effect from the first one to keep with the second one. I can't remember what the other color was, maybe purple or something like that, but just a fantastic figure. I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, so Lord Zedd was always one of my favorite characters from that line. And when I saw they were coming out with a figure in kind of this Marvel Legends style 6-inch line, this is, I know this is Lightning Collection, Hasbro Lightning Collection, not Marvel Legend, but built like a Marvel Legend. So they go with my Marvel Legends. They pose real well on the shelf or beside them in the vicinity of them, and they look fantastic. But Lord Zedd is my number 5 figure in my lineup of top 10. All right, guys, on to number 4. Let's give G.I. Joe some love in my top 10. This is the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Snake Eyes. So Snake Eyes, one of my favorite characters growing up. Me, a lot of my friends, we had been waiting on a 6-inch G.I. Joe line to hit. These are based on a video game that I recently actually picked up for my Switch, probably in error. It is not a very good video game, but the action figures look phenomenal. And they come out with this Snake Eyes figure. I did a review on my channel, and I was blown away with how well this figure felt in hand. The articulation, the sculpt is amazing. The accessories that they provided are phenomenal. I mean, he just has a ton of accessories. Bandolier here, he's got his backpack, swords, multiple guns, knives that will sheath in his sheath, guns that will go into his gun holster. He really just has everything that you would want in a Snake Eyes figure. I think they did a phenomenal job. Now if we can just get our Storm Shadow figure the way we want it, we'll be set. This is my number 4 figure. All right, guys, on to number 3. I'm sure you guys were wondering where they were. The Neca cartoon line. As you know, it's one of my favorite lines out there, period. In 2020, they put out a ton of phenomenal figures. In fact, I almost could just do a top 10 video of my top 10 Neca cartoon figures. If that's something you guys would like to see, let's do it. Let me know in the comments below. But number 3, Metalhead from the Neca cartoon line. This was a deluxe figure. He come packaged individually. He's one of the few figures so far that have come packaged individually. I think Krang is the other one, but he came with a ton of accessories. The paint, the sculpt is perfection on this figure. And that's a lot to say for Neca, because I seem to come across a lot of Neca figures that do have some QC issues. If you go back and watch some of my videos, you'll see some of those. I still love the line. I can get past the QC issues for figures that are 20, 25 bucks. But this guy was perfection. You could not find a QC issue on him. And a lot of the other reviews that I saw on YouTube also kind of mimic that same thing. Just we're not finding QC issues. So I don't know if it's the factories they pick or what was going on, but this guy is perfect. You can see here, the paint work is great. All kinds of accessories. I've got the drill here on his arm. I've got his gun kind of popping out of his chest. You know, these are able to open and close. These flaps here on his chest if you want to, you know, have him in a different type of pose. He's even got his switch here on the back that is articulated. Just phenomenal stuff here. But this is my number 3 figure for 2020. All right, guys, on to number 2. This was my number 1. All year long, I had in my head that this figure would be my number 1 figure in 2020. I did not think it would be dethroned until recently, and you're about to figure out who that was. But this is a phenomenal figure. There's probably a lot of you guys who did not jump on this line quick enough. I know they're sold out. I've heard interviews from like Brian Flynn. He said they were kicking around ways or ideas of how can we re-release Wave 1 for the people who just didn't get in quick enough. So I know these guys are kind of fetching a nice price on the secondary market. If I could go back, I probably would have bought 2 of each of these, or at least 2 of the turtles, to just keep one in package, because the packaging on these are beautiful, but the sculpt work is phenomenal. There's no QC issues on this guy whatsoever, not in the paint, not in the sculpt, not in the joints. The accessories are plenty. They even come with their weapons tree, you know, which is, if you remember as a kid, you know, breaking off the weapons from those weapon trees. Really, it's gonna always be probably one of my favorite all-time figures. I think we're getting ready to get the next wave here soon. I'm starting to see some reviews going up online for the next wave. So hopefully in 2021, we'll have another turtle in our top 10. I'm sure we will. But this Raphael right here is my number 2 figure for 2020. All right, guys, the number 1 figure of 2020. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's my top 10, so I can do what I want to do. Both these figures came in a 2-pack. This was the Toca and Razor 2-pack from the Neca TMNT Secret of the Ooze movie line. Because they came in a 2-pack, I'm going to allow them to tie for number 1. And the reason I'm doing that is because it literally looks like they just shrunk down the suit from the movie and gave it to us in a toy. Head over heels the best toy of 2020 right here. Our best adult collectible. We won't even use the word toy. These are not toys. These are adult collectibles, and they make a very big statement with their sculpt, their paintwork, the accessories. You know, you spin around, you look at the back of this guy's shell. I mean, how does Neca even do this? When I look at what Neca has done with the movie figure line, and then I look at the cartoon figure line, I'm like, how is this even the same company? It doesn't even appear to be the same company because of how amazing these figures are. You know, I couldn't help but give these guys the top spot. Since they come in the same pack, I'm going to call it a tie. Or they could have been 1 and 2. If you don't like the fact that I did it as all tied for number 1, then we'll call one number 1 and one number 2. But these are my top figures of 2020. Even articulated eyes, over here on Toca. Again, let me know what you guys think of these. Have you gotten yours in the mail yet? I got mine out really fast. I know there was some controversy over, how Neca was, shipping these. Some people were getting them really early. There's some people, I think, that haven't even gotten their tracking for these guys yet. If you haven't gotten them, I'm telling you, be patient. You're going to get them, and you're not going to be disappointed when you get them in hand. These are amazing figures. I want them to be part of the centerpiece of my entire collection. When people walk in the man cave, I want them to see these 2 figures. So well done. These are my tied for number 1 figures of 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. It certainly helps the channel out. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. Would love to have you as part of the Man Cave Collectibles team. Drop comments down below. I really want to hear from you guys. What are your top 5? What are your top 10? What do you think of my top 10 and my honorable mentions? Would love to hear from you guys. Until next time, stay safe out there.